Everyone, welcome to South of Strange, a show where we share tales of the weird, unexplained, supernatural, and just downright strange. In each series, we will share a couple of different stories and at the end, decide which one is more likely to be real. I'm one of your hosts, Felipe, and I'm joined by a couple of my best friends. First, we've got in the upper, if I'm doing this stuff right, right-hand corner, we got Randy. You can introduce yourself or say hi or something. There, okay.
Oh, hey.
There we go. Say hi
everyone.
to. There we go.
We're using the 3.2 megapixel camera. That's Randy.
And then right down below, we've got Art himself. How you doing, man?
What up, baby?
There we go.
See y'all, boys.
Yeah.
How's it going, everyone?
We're finally doing it, guys. We've talked about doing something like this for a while now, and
long time.
A very long time. Yeah, we've always had interest in just the weird shit that's out there, and decided that
we're weirdos, you know.
Yeah, I think we've been called weirdos multiple times, and just figured that take advantage of the time in quarantine to still hang out and see each other in a safe way and share the same weird stories we've always have done before. And what better time to do something like this than in the month of October, the spookiest time of the year, right?
Yeah, baby. Good one.
What's that?
Good one.
You guys hear the ghost? Is that just me? Yeah. So what we're gonna do now is start with
ghouls.
A couple of different stories. But before we get started, we do want to point out a couple things. First of which, we are very much amateurs at all of this. We are doing this just for fun, just for entertainment. Hopefully we do learn some cool stuff along the ways. But again, we're not professionals. So if we leave something out or get something wrong, please feel free to let us know. Either comment below or jump on our social medias and let us know. Because we also, of course, want to get better at what we're doing. Secondly,
let us know how much we suck.
Yes.
Be cool about it, though. You know,
yeah, we're pretty sensitive. Yeah, we're sensitive boys. Secondly, this is all done during quarantine, so we are using technology and stuff that we've just never used before. So if production seems a little rough, just back the hell off, man. Like this is tough. I've never used OBS or Discord or any of this shit before, but we're figuring it out as we go along, and hopefully we'll get better as we keep going along.
We will get better.
Yeah, absolutely. So, without further ado, guys, let me go ahead and pull up some of the notes that we're going to need for our first story here. Episode 1, Haunting or Hoax. Part 1, The Amityville Horror. On December 18th, 1975, George and Kathy Lutz purchased a home at 112 Ocean Avenue for $80,000. A steal for a 4,000 square foot home with waterfront access, a boathouse, heated swimming pool, garage, and a full basement. Adding to the deal was the fact that most of the previous owner's furniture was actually kept as part of the purchasing arrangement. This was the perfect home for the Lutz and their 3 children, Daniel, Christopher, and Missy. But why was this amazing home on sale for such an incredible deal? Well, the house had been the site of a grisly murder just over a year before. Knowing this, and going by the suggestion of a close friend, George asked a priest, Father Ralph J. Picaro, to bless their new home. So, the very same day the family was unpacking their belongings, Father Picaro arrived. When he flicked the first holy water and began to pray, he heard a masculine voice demand that he get out. Then, he was suddenly slapped across the face. When leaving the house, Father Picaro did not mention this incident to either George or Kathy, but on December 24th, the father had a change of heart. He called George Lutz and advised him to stay out of the second floor room where he had heard the mysterious voice. And it's at this point, I do want to stop for a second. He didn't want to mention this at the beginning, but he waited till the day before Christmas to tell them this.
Wow.
I've gotten some shitty Christmas presents in the past, guys, but this is worse. This is probably worse.
That's actually one of my biggest fears too, is buying a house and not knowing the history about it.
Oh yeah, no, I would definitely look that up. They're supposed to disclose that, aren't they?
Yeah, I think every state has different laws on it, but some states you have to mention this up front, and some states you don't have. They don't have to say anything to you.
You won't know.
Not necessarily. Okay,
I don't know.
I don't know enough about it.
I move anywhere, whether it's a house, an apartment, a hotel room. I'm asking if somebody got killed here. I need to know.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Now, Kathy had actually planned to use the room as a sewing room, but the phone call was cut short by static. Following his visit to the home, Father Porcaro allegedly developed a high fever and blisters all over his hands, similar to stigmata. And are you guys familiar with what stigmata is?
No, refresh my...
So it's basically wounds that replicate the wounds that Jesus had when he was, during his crucifixion. So
Okay, gotcha.
just think of like marks and stuff all over his hands. From that point on, the family would expedite Amityville Horror. So to start with, George Lutz would wake up every morning at 3:15 a.m., the same supposed time the murders were committed. He would also hear the front door being slammed in the middle of the night, only to find it shut and locked. He began to experience mood swings, snapping at everyone in the family. He and Kathy would argue constantly. Kathy herself would have reoccurring nightmares of people being murdered in the very same beds her family slept in now. She also claimed to feel the embrace of an unknown force. At one point, she developed painful welts all over her chest. George says he even witnessed her levitate 2 feet in the air above their bed. At one point, he watched her transform into an old, withered woman right before his eyes, then quickly change back to her normal self. Both said that they would often see what appeared to be a demon with a half-blown-off head wandering their home.
Like, how long would you stay in a home after you start witnessing all this stuff? Like, I would give it
1 day.
I'd leave same day.
Yeah, probably.
After see the demon with the blown-off head.
I feel like
seeing my wife levitate.
I'm out.
Seeing her age.
I'll take the loss.
Yeah, I don't need to stay.
I'll take the L.
I'll ruin my credit.
Yeah, I think.
I'll ruin my credit.
I think I'm a little bit more on the skeptic side.
Get the insurance on it. That's what I'd do.
That's gonna be denied, bro. One day moving in, you burn down. That's it.
That's pretty suspicious.
Fraud,
Did this happen day one though? I don't think it happened day one.
All this happened pretty quickly. Like as we get on, you're gonna see how short of a time span they spent in this home here. But yeah, no, I'm leaving pretty soon after this. Like if anything, I might say first night we saw some stuff, right? Whatever. Maybe we're tired from the move. That. Second night, okay, this is creepy. Third night, I'm fucking gone. So
you have all my shit.
Yeah.
I have all my shit. It's the demons now.
Now, their kids weren't safe from this stuff either. Their daughter, Missy, befriended a demonic pig who she affectionately called Jody. She would often be caught speaking to her new friend in the middle of the night, and George and Kathy claimed to see glowing red eyes from outside Missy's window. They even reported seeing giant cloven footprints in the snow on some mornings. Their 2 sons, on the other hand, Daniel and Christopher, would reportedly levitate above their beds at night. Now, that's not as cool as a demon pig friend, right? A crucifix on the wall of the home would rotate until it was upside down, and no matter how many times they would correct this, it would always go right back. The family claimed to witness green slime oozing from the walls and keyholes of the home. The house was also said to have been constantly plagued by strange, foul odors, roaming cold spots, and swarms of flies. Finally, in the middle of the night on January 1976, leaving everything they owned behind, the family abandoned their new home just 28 days after moving in. To this day...
Okay, about a month.
Exactly, yeah. And to this day, they've never actually spoken about what happened that last night.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So far, guys...
So, wait a minute.
I want to know.
These guys are still alive? Nothing... They left?
The family's still alive at this point. They've just become so scared that they're out of this house.
To this day, they're alive? Right?
Some of them are. Some of them are still alive. I think the kids, for the most part. I know Kathy passed several years ago. George outlived her, but I don't know the exact day, if he's still alive or when he died exactly. I think the kids again are still alive.
It's so cool to like have one of them on the show as like an interviewee. You know?
Hey man, maybe
down the road when we get big enough.
The house stood vacant and alone until a couple of months later, on March 6, 1976. When famed demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren investigated the Lutz's claims. Joined by a news crew from the local Channel 5 television studio, they captured infrared time-lapse photos of a demon boy with glowing eyes at the foot of the staircase. While exploring the basement, Ed Warren claimed to have encountered an inhuman presence. Quote, "Suddenly it felt as though I were under a heavy waterfall, and the pressure was dragging me down to the floor." At about 3:15 a.m., a seance was conducted in the upstairs sewing room. Remember the sewing room from before, guys? The exact room they said...
To go into?
Yeah, exactly. The one they were never supposed to enter. So according to Lorraine Warren, quote, "It was a dangerous, dangerous night during that period of time. It was very intense that night. I hope this is as close to hell as I'll ever get." Another parapsychologist, Hans Holzer, investigated the home, who agreed with the Warrens and that the house was inhabited by a malevolent spirit due to its violent history. He also believed the home was the site of a Native American burial ground. And
on top of all that? Damn.
on top of all of that,
Of course. You got to have the Indian burial ground.
It's part of the story. It's part of the formula. So, of course, not everyone believed the Lutzes, or even the Warrens for that matter, and a story as sensational as this would draw its fair share of controversy. Now, to come to our own conclusion about the whole thing, let's start where the whole thing began. The murders. On the night of November 13th, 1974, 23-year-old Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr. walked through his family's home with a .35 caliber Marlin 336C rifle. One by one, Ronald killed his father.
That's a lever action. That's rowdy.
Mm-hmm. One by one, Ronald killed his father, Ronald Sr., mother, Louise, two brothers, Mark and John Matthew, and two sisters, Dawn and Allison, while they slept. DeFeo's parents were shot twice, while the children were each shot once. Each victim was found lying face down in their beds. The shootings supposedly took all of 15 minutes, and though the rifle was later found to have not been fitted with any kind of noise suppression, no neighbors reported hearing any gunshots that night. Now, Randy, you're kind of our gun expert here. This is a rifle. It's loud as fuck, right?
Very loud.
So,
Very loud.
So the fact that nobody heard anything,
hard kick as well.
So again, the fact that nobody heard anything is insane. I don't know how to explain how this happened.
That's crazy,
right? If it was 4 kids, each shot once, so 4 shots, and then the 2 parents, so 8 shots, and nobody heard anything.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, even throughout the house, like after the first shot, everyone would wake up and start
should have
running around.
Exactly, and the fact that they were each found, again, lying face down in their bed. How do they, like you said, how do they not start moving around and seeing what's going on? Later that evening, around 6:30 p.m., DeFeo entered Henry's bar in Amityville, New York, declaring, quote, "You gotta help me. I think my mother and father are shot." DeFeo led a small group of patrons to the home located not far from the bar. There they found DeFeo's family dead. One man quickly called local police. Now, it was heavily rumored that the DeFeos had ties to the mob, so, claiming the murders must be the work of a hitman, DeFeo was taken to the police station for his own protection. However, interviews at the station would reveal multiple inconsistencies with Ronald's story. The next day, he would confess to killing his entire family, stating to detectives, quote, "Once I started, I just couldn't stop. It went so fast." He even explained how he bathed and redressed after the murders, as well as admitting to where he discarded crucial evidence like blood-soaked clothes and the rifle used in the shootings. DeFeo's trial began on October 14th, 1975. His defense lawyer, William Weber, mounted an insanity defense, claiming that DeFeo killed his family in self-defense after he heard them plotting to kill him. He said he heard voices in his head urging him to kill. Then, a hooded demon with black hands gave him the rifle. Psychiatrist for the prosecution, Dr. Harold Zolan, argued against the claim, pointing to the fact that DeFeo was a heavy user of heroin and LSD. He determined that DeFeo instead suffered from antisocial personality disorder and was well aware of his actions during the time of the murders. On November 21st, 1975, DeFeo was found guilty of 6 counts of second-degree murder. On December 4th, Judge Thomas Stark sentenced DeFeo to 6 concurrent sentences of 25 years to life. He is currently held at the Sullivan Correction Facility in Fallsburg, New York.
That's where we're going.
Oh, you want to do
Why'd you do it, bro?
You want to go interview him?
Yeah.
All right, man. I'm pretty sure he's still alive, man. I'm sure we can get him on tape. I don't think it'd be too difficult. Now, since his conviction, DeFeo has given several explanations of how the killings were carried out and the reason behind them. One claim was that his sister, Dawn DeFeo, had been the one who actually killed his parents and siblings before he killed her in a struggle over the rifle. One popular theory that law enforcement has held on to is that DeFeo committed the murders to obtain his father's insurance money, a sum of about $200,000, which is about $1,054,434.08 in today's money. He supposedly inquired about receiving the money soon after his arrest. Though it was known to
a little suspicious?
A little bit, right? Though it was known Ronald had a violent relationship with his father, Ronald Sr., the true motive for the killings has never been made clear. Now, let's go back.
Could be a psycho.
He could be, right? I mean, he again, the antisocial behavior. I mean, that kind of just says he's just a certified asshole, I guess. Clearly doesn't have his head on right? For a second, let's go back to Ronald's defense lawyer. He's what ties the DeFeo and the Lutz's stories together. Even after the trial, Weber didn't seem to be finished arguing the case. He stated to reporters during the trial that he was only charging DeFeo a modest fee and that, quote, I'm getting more out of this from the publicity. It would later be Weber who helped the story of the Amityville Horror come to light. Weber organized a press conference a few days after DeFeo's sentencing in which he invited the Lutzes to be a part of. He apparently believed there to be a connection between the DeFeo murders and the Lutzes' haunting, and publicly announced that he would be representing them. From then on, the Lutzes would go on to do interview after interview, making money and gaining fame from what they saw in that home. It's around this time that famed vampirologist Stephen Kaplan comes onto the scene. George had apparently asked Stephen to investigate the hauntings, but days before he was set to visit the home, George called off the investigation. He claimed that he was misled into thinking Kaplan was a paranormal investigator instead of a vampirologist. And before you ask, yes, they are totally different things, guys. However, according to Kaplan and his wife, George gave a very different explanation for canceling. You see, Stephen had spoken to the press about his plans to look into the Lutz's story, and George wasn't happy about the media attention. To Kaplan's confusion, the Lutzes had that press conference with Weber the very same night George canceled the vampirologist's investigation. The next day, Kaplan would announce that he believed the Amityville haunting to be a hoax. And just as a quick aside on this one, this right here is the start of a pretty bitter rivalry between Kaplan, the vampirologist, and Ed Warren, the demonologist. They would actually do these interviews where they would just go on TV sets and just basically talk shit to each other, trying to either dismiss each other's investigation methods or just try to completely discredit the other one. I find it hilarious that these two... I guess
you told me that. You told me the video, didn't you?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. In 1977, 2 years after DeFeo's sentencing and just 1 year after the Lutzes escaped their living hell, a novel by Jay Anson with input from the Lutzes was published based on their accounts titled The Amityville Horror, A True Story. Naturally, the novel brought even more criticism to the story's truthfulness, including many lawsuits. One such concerning the priest, Father Picaro, would reveal that the only contact he ever had with the Lutz family was actually over the phone.
What?
Yeah, man. Then the Cromartie family moved into the house in the spring of 1977. Through all their time in the house, they never experienced any kind of hauntings.
What?
So they also sued the Lutzes over a false claim of their true story, as it brought many unwelcome visitors to the home, invading the family's sense of privacy. Further damning to the Lutzes' story, William Weber confessed in an interview that during one meeting, he, George, and Kathy came up with the entire haunting story over many bottles of wine. While he said they did claim...
Never heard this.
Yeah, while he did claim that they experienced some supernatural experiences in the house, it was only with his help that they began to elaborate on all the details of the story. After looking at the evidence of the crime, which he provided them, they started to put together the story that we know now. So, for instance, the green slime, that was blood. The constant swarm of flies, that was based on flies from the actual crime scene. I feel like it's pretty easy to say that the Lutz story is all bullshit at this point, right? Yeah. But it's widely believed that hauntings do occur after traumatic events, and what happened to the DeFeo family falls well within that category. Their unhealthy and violent relationship does set the groundwork nicely, and then you add the unexplained cold-blooded murders of the entire family by an unhinged Ronald Jr., definitely gives some weight to the possibility of negative energy lingering behind in the home. But despite the lawsuits and the interviews, to this day, the Lutz family stands firm in their story. For the most part.
I never heard it was a hoax. I
didn't hear about that either. That's interesting.
Yeah, it just takes a lot of the air out of the story.
It kind of does, right? Because So overall, what are y'all's thoughts on the Amityville Horror here?
There's only one way to find out. We gotta go there.
I agree. And once it's not illegal to travel, then yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Take a road trip. It's hard to say. Now that you mentioned and pointed out that it was possibly a hoax, they got drunk, started thinking some crazy shit going on in their head, and I mean, we do that. I do that by myself without being drunk. Like, man, what if I did this? They fucking executed, and they tricked the world, and they made a damn movie out of it. So who knows, man? Maybe they had some experiences, but they just exaggerated them and in their own little fantasy. Maybe they're really into horror. I mean, who knows? I don't.
So that's actually a pretty interesting point. Later on, Lutz's, I think it was either Daniel or Christopher, one of the sons would go on and give an interview where he stated that his father was actually pretty into occult stuff, like before all this happened. So it kind of leans more into the idea of like, well, they were already kind of primed for what was going on. And then they knew about everything that happened in the home before they bought it,
So that they didn't scare them off.
It didn't scare them off. So who's to say that they didn't move into this house with a plan? Let's move in and let's see if we can make a story off of this, and I don't know,
make some money.
Yeah, and they did.
Get famous. And my question is, as an adult, what happened to the mortgage?
I have no idea, man.
Make one payment.
I don't know. There's mortgage forgiveness for ghosts.
Hey, it was a stupid idea. We shouldn't have bought the house. And you said they're all still alive, right? So obviously they're not.
I think some. The kids for the most part.
Autobiographies, anything. They haven't come forward to interview on any of this shit, right? I'm sure.
No, again,
people have tried to contact them.
I mean, despite everything, like I said, they still say that what happened to them happened to them. But yeah, that's
their word versus ours, or whatever. But I mean,
yeah,
I don't know enough about the story, but just from the summary of what you told me, it just feels like it's bullshit now. And I never knew this. Being open-minded and listening to all this, it's fucked up. People are weird. People want money. They won't do anything for money, for fame, and at that point, that's what somebody did. And it's funny to hear about it, but they've made money off the movie itself.
Yeah, they have.
They ain't getting nothing. So that story, somebody else took it and ran with it, and they made a couple of those movies. I think
they've made a lot of movies.
Yeah. I remember the original in the 70s, right? It came out like almost immediately, right? Like in the late 70s or early 80s, whatever it was.
I want to say it was like 78 when the first 78 or 79. I remember all this happened like in 77.
Fresh. Right, right. So that's what made it super. I mean, that's what made it scary.
Exactly.
And now you're like,
it
was a big fat lie.
The Exorcist had actually come out just a little before all of this story began. So again, it just leaned more into the idea of like, look, like they're obviously taking inspirations of stuff that's out there,
right,
to see what they can do for themselves.
Then to me, the movie was scary to me. I'll probably never watch that again.
The Exorcist or the Amityville?
No, Exorcist. I never watched that movie again. I couldn't sleep for like a year.
We might have to go back and have a movie night, man. Watch these again after we read some of these stories. Randy, overall, what are your thoughts?
I'm just kind of dumbfounded so that this could possibly be a hoax. I feel like the viewers should leave a comment. If you guys have any idea what your input is, leave it in the comments. But yeah, no, this is
little poop emojis. One per person, please.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I was kind of surprising that you mentioned that at the end. I don't know much about the topic, like you said. It's just like, wow. After all that,
it's pretty sad because
it just seems fake now.
Yeah, because it has the workings for.
I really want to get to the bottom of this.
I mean, like you said, the only way to figure it out is to be there. But any family that's lived there before or after has never had any problems or issues, and then you have people that come out of the woodwork and say, "No, everything's fake. Nothing's happened." Even the author Jay Anson, he went on to say things like, I'm only a writer. I let people draw their own conclusions. So even he seemed to not really believe in what's going on. You have the Warrens there that have experience in this kind of stuff, but honestly, as we go on and read more stories, they keep popping up on really specific high-profile cases that kind of leads me to think maybe they're just there for their own sake rather than honestly trying to investigate stuff. But again, that can be a whole nother thing. Just doing a piece on the Warrens themselves. All this has the makings of a perfect story. So to me, it seems a little.
Right. It was perfect for the movie theater, and that's what it was.
Exactly right. It's like it was written specifically for the movie theater. But we'll save more of the debate once we get to the end of the series. For right now, guys, that kind of wraps it up for our first episode here. Hopefully, you guys had some fun. I know I did, kind of digging into this because I'm like these guys. I didn't know too much about it, and I didn't know there was so much controversy on whether or not it was real. But we will be back for part 2, the Enfield haunting. If you guys enjoyed it, if you guys had fun, sure, hit the like, hit the share button, hit the follow button, hit all those little notification things. Just that way you know exactly when episode 2 goes live and you can keep up to date with everything that we're going on. If you guys do like this, be sure you can follow us on Facebook at South of Strange. Our Instagram is actually South of Strange, just all one word together. And we even have a Twitter. It is all lowercase, South of Strange 3. That does it for us. Thanks again. And
good job, Philippe.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys joining me here.
Together, get some good notes.
Hell yeah.
Celeste, and
thanks for watching, everyone.
Sleep easy tonight. No, it's not real, you know.
All right, guys. I appreciate y'all's time.
All right, good night, boys.
Catch you guys next time.